All right, we're going to move on to our NFL midseason awards. We're just going to go through, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, and just, who we think should get it. MVP, guys, I think for most of us it should be unanimous. But Stoney, who do you think's the MVP of the halfway point of the NFL this year?
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and switch up mine.
Jerome Simpson.
I'm gonna go ahead and switch mine up. I'm gonna say Calvin Johnson because Calvin Johnson has done more than what has been expected of him. I mean,
that's hard.
I just can't get over the Cincinnati game when he caught that pass over to 4 defenders. If one defender's looking at him, and then he pulls up the ball and goes, like, how in the heck did he catch that? I mean, this guy is doing anything and everything for his team to win. And, most of the time you give it to a quarterback just because they are the leader of the team and they make everything happen. But this guy, in and out of games, is just dominating whatever defense they throw at him. You could throw 12 guys at him, he'll still jump over at least 6 of them and somehow at least get a hand on the ball. But I'm going Calvin Johnson.
There are 300+ reasons why I should agree with you there. But I think I'm going to say Jamal Charles over in KC. I think he's come back phenomenally from that ACL injury, and he's helped them. He's one of the main reasons why they're 8-0 right now. I mean, you can give credit to Andy Reid, but Jamal Charles is having a phenomenal year, and so that's why I believe he is my MVP for this part of the year so far.
I was going to go with the unanimous decision, but after hearing you guys, I felt the need to even say this, even as not as being as not as high on Tom Brady as a certain someone over there. I'm going to have to say Tom Brady. Tom Brady has not performed as well as Peyton Manning or even a lot of other quarterbacks, but having what he has and succeeding with what he has and what he's had to go through, running back struggles, running back injuries, wide receiver struggles, wide receiver injuries, not having as great a line as we know Tom Brady to have, he's come out and performed as clutch as we ever seen him with the limited weapons that he has. And he's got his team at 8-1. And I wouldn't have predicted them to be 8-1 seeing the offense that he has. Him and Bill Belichick just work magic with that team. And I have to give credit to their defense too, but I mean, having Tom Brady heading that team,
we could play wide receiver with Tom Brady, and he would make us look good.
Yeah, we haven't had concussions yet.
Well, if he's going Tom Brady, I think I'm going to pick Maurice Jones-Drew because when he's had to work with, you have to put up numbers in order to be an MVP candidate. I mean, Tom Brady has done well with what he has, but the receivers that he has, you didn't know what they could do. Okay, everyone's going to take some time to get into the league, so I can't give it to Tom Brady. I'm going to have to stick with Peyton Manning. Through the first half, I know they have one loss compared. Jamal Charles is my second. Compared to the Chiefs, they have one loss. But the numbers that Peyton Manning's been putting up are historic. They're not just good numbers, they're historic numbers. They're on record pace. Jamal Charles is doing excellent, but I'm giving more credit to that defense more than anything. That offense is, it's solid. They keep you from not, they don't turn the ball over. But that defense is what drives that whole team. They get turnover after turnover
for the Broncos?
after touchdown. No, for the Chiefs.
Oh, the Chiefs. Okay.
They get turnover after turnover for touchdowns every week. But without Peyton Manning in that offense is not moving like it is today. Like, their defense is not very good, but yet that offense keeps them ahead of everybody in most cases in every game. And so I got to give it to somebody who controls a game like that. If they're up, they're going to win because they're going to hold the ball. If they're down, they're going to come back at some point. So I give it to Peyton Manning.
The fact that it took so long for Peyton Manning's name to be said at this table is astounding to me. I'm not saying that you guys didn't make good points with your picks. I agree with y'all, but it's clearly Peyton Manning. It's not even a question. He's on pace to break almost every offensive record that there is in the books right now. Okay, coming back off of that, neck surgery and the playoff loss last year, he came back right out of the gates, 7 touchdowns in the first game. Like he had the MVP right then and there. Just give it to him. Okay, it doesn't even matter. We don't have to play out the rest of the season. Peyton Manning right now is clearly the MVP. That defense is horrid for the Broncos. So Peyton Manning knows going in, I got to score 40.
Well,
so,
do you think? But don't you think that I'm not doubting Peyton? I even though I said Tom Brady, Peyton Manning is the favorite to win MVP. I just said I would also vote for Tom Brady being up there for my MVP. But do you think that scoring so many points puts so much pressure on that defense to kind of stop them because they're on the field so often, so quick?
No, because
and that's because they're really high in their rushing defense. That's because teams pass on them because they're down by so much, and that's why that's why their defense looks so bad.
So the offense is the defense in that case, because if you have to pass, that's because you're getting scored on so much.
Exactly.
Which is another point to that offense that you're scoring so many points that you're making teams abandon the run. They're not abandoning it because it's not working. They're abandoning it because they have no choice. And that just goes even more to, and I want to give credit to all the receivers, the running backs, the linemen. They've had offensive line injuries already. They've had three starting offensive linemen, and there's still nothing you can do. And you're like, I mean, how many more offensive linemen do we have to hurt before we can get a sack here? And it's ridiculous how good they still are, regardless of, I mean, their top linemen being out.
All right, Stoney, moving on to who do you think would be the defensive player of the year this year?
Defensive player of the year. Whew. You haven't really heard much about any guys sticking out defensively. Of course, the top name would be J.J. Watt, but he really hasn't done much this year. But with that struggling team, it's not that hard to see why. But I won't lie, I'm drawing a blank right now on defense. I really don't see anybody sticking out there like that's.
Jadeveon Clowney? Oh,
Kyle,
sorry.
Who do you think would be who do you think would you pick for defense?
Yeah, I'm a big offensive guy. I'm not the smartest when it comes to defensive stars. And just because of his performance on Thursday night, I'm going to say Kevin Williams. Although it's not at all correct, I'm just going to say 3 sacks. That impressed me.
Anselina, who do you think out of everyone here would you pick for a defensive player of the year?
The Kansas City Chiefs defense.
That's what I was about to just say.
But
if I had to go one, I'd go the
But
whole.
since only one player wins the award, I'm still going to go with somebody off that defense. That will be probably Justin Houston or Tamba Ali. I mean, those two monsters heading that defense just creates problems.
If you had to pick one, who would you pick?
Yes.
Can I combine them? Tamba Houston. I'm going to go with Justin Houston just because, him getting so many sacks early in the season kind of set the tone for the rest of that defense. I mean, they have Pro Bowlers over that defense. They have, high-profile players, Brandon Flowers, Eric Berry, Derek Johnson, and they all work together as a unit. But Justin Houston coming in there and taking a hold of the pass rush kind of set a fire under everybody else. Like, you know what? We're here, and we're ready. We got a new coach. We got a new quarterback. Let's give them something to talk about on defense. And I'm going to say Justin Houston for Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay, I'm going to go with Robert Mathis. He's actually leading the league in sacks this year. That team's playing exceptionally well. And Kansas City, I want to give it to somebody on that defense, but their defense is a unit. They work good as a whole. Individually, all their players are good. As a whole, they're great. Robert Mathis, I'm trying to think of somebody else on his defense that helps him. Dwight Freeney's not there. So guard this guy. Do not let him get sacks. But yet he's still leading the league in sacks. Nobody can stop him right now. That team is playing great. The defense is playing well. And I think I'm gonna have to go with Robert Mathis.
I'll agree with you. Chance Allen was also going to pick Robert Mathis. I think that he has been the sole catalyst of that Indianapolis Colts defense. I think he's really been the leader and the tone setter and able to really complement what they're working with on offense with Andrew Luck and T.Y. Hilton and those boys. I think that, leading the league in sacks without having Dwight Freeney there and still putting up the numbers that he is right now is truly remarkable, and I think he's definitely the candidate for defensive player.
It seems like he's gone up in his stature
without
Dwight Freeney.